Cara Knott was a young woman with a future full of promise. At just 20 years old, she was a student at San Diego State University, balancing her studies with a job and a deep love for her family. She was known for her bright personality and her dedication to her goals. Her life ended on a desolate stretch of highway, an event that would send shockwaves through her community and challenge the very foundation of trust between the public and those sworn to protect them. Her story is not just about a tragedy. It is about a family's unrelenting fight for justice against a system that seemed designed to protect its own. It's a story about the quiet power of evidence and the courage it takes to question authority. On the night of December 27, 1986, Cara Knott was driving south on Interstate 15 in San Diego County. It was a cold, dark night. She had been at her boyfriend's house in Escondido and was heading home to El Cajon. It was a drive she had made many times before. The highway cut through a rural, unlit area with a particularly isolated stretch near the Mercy Road off-ramp. This is where her journey took a fatal turn. A California Highway Patrol officer, Craig Peyer, was on duty that night, patrolling that very section of the interstate. He initiated a traffic stop, pulling Cara's white Volkswagen Beetle over to the side of the road just below the towering bridge of the off-ramp. What happened during that stop would become the central question in a murder investigation. Cara was alone. The officer was on duty, in his patrol car, representing the authority of the state. The stop itself was for an alleged minor traffic violation. According to Peyer, he directed her away from the main flow of highway traffic to a more secluded spot underneath the bridge. This was a deviation from standard procedure, which typically requires stops to be conducted in a visible and safe location. That decision would become a critical point in the investigation, raising immediate questions about the officer's intentions. Not long after the stop, Peyer's voice came over the CHP radio. His transmission was unusual. He reported a car had come down the ramp and nearly hit him. A man had gotten out and thrown something over the bridge before driving off. This report seemed frantic and was later scrutinized for its inconsistencies. Meanwhile, Cara did not arrive home. Her parents, Sam Knott and Joyce Knott, grew increasingly worried as the hours passed. They knew her route. They knew she was a responsible driver. Her failure to call or return was out of character. Their worst fears were realized the next morning. A search was initiated after her family reported her missing. Her Volkswagen was found parked beneath the Mercy Road Bridge. A short distance away, in the dense brush at the bottom of a ravine, investigators discovered Cara's body. She had been brutally beaten and strangled. The scene was a stark and horrifying contrast to the life she had lived. A routine drive home had ended in a place of darkness and violence. The search for who was responsible began immediately, and the focus quickly turned to the last person known to have seen her alive, the CHP officer who pulled her over. There were scratches on his face, explained as a fall against a chain-link fence. Minute fibers were found on Cara's dress and inside her car. Microscopic gold-colored fibers matched the gold rope from Peyer's CHP uniform. The locations of the car and body didn't align with a simple traffic stop. A local TV cameraman recorded CHP radio channels that night. On those tapes, his calm stop, a radio silence, then a sudden frantic call raised doubts. The tapes provided an objective record, one that could not be altered by memory or intent. The San Diego Police Department led the case to ensure impartiality. Over 24 women came forward about unsettling stops, many near Mercy Road. They described minor or fabricated reasons, secluded locations, unprofessional conversations, often lasting an hour or more. This established a clear modus operandi and abuse of power. Scratches and faint blood on Peyer's patrol car suggested a struggle. Tire tracks and a witness who saw a CHP car pull a VW Beetle unusually close corroborated a violent encounter that did not fit his narrative. The case against Craig Peyer went to trial. It was a landmark event. The first time in CHP history, an officer was charged with murder on duty. The prosecution's strategy: dismantle his story with a mountain of evidence. More than 20 women described his predatory pattern. Gold fibers from his uniform rope on Cara's dress, scratches and blood pointing to struggle, ligature marks detailed by a pathologist. Jurors heard his timeline inconsistencies and shift in tone. The defense argued reasonable doubt, another possible perpetrator, and attacked witness credibility. Peyer took the stand, maintaining his innocence. The first trial ended in a hung jury, one juror unable to believe a police officer could do this. A second trial was scheduled. The case was presented with greater clarity and force. On June 22, 1988, the jury found Craig Peyer guilty of first-degree murder. For Cara's family, profound relief and sorrow. He was sentenced to 25 years to life, stripped of authority and freedom. The outcome was seen as a victory for accountability, yet it forced hard questions about misconduct, procedures, and public trust. Devastated, Cara's father, Sam Knott, channeled grief into action, becoming a fierce advocate for victims' rights and police reform. The most tangible legacy is legislation known as Cara's Law, championed by her father. It established a program allowing citizens to volunteer with the CHP, increasing transparency and understanding. The program sought to demystify police work and raise public accountability. The case reshaped training, locally and across the country. Guidelines were tightened on where and how long to conduct stops. Professionalism and boundaries were emphasized to prevent abuses of authority. Cara's story is a cautionary tale, often cited in personal safety discussions, particularly for women. Families discuss staying in well-lit public areas and calling someone when stopped. While most officers are honorable, it is wise to stay cautious and aware. Ultimately, this is a testament to the power of evidence and a justice system willing to hold its own accountable. Meticulous forensics and the courage of women who came forward, along with persistent prosecutors, ensured the truth prevailed. A badge is not a license to commit crimes. The rule of law must apply equally to everyone. Cara's life was tragically cut short, but her legacy lives on, in reforms, and in the enduring lesson that trust must rest on truth and transparency.